Welcome to the Pocatello Business Podcast, the only Pocatello podcast focused on providing profits for Pocatello people. If you love our town and love small business, you are in the right place. We interview local legends, learn business, and have way too much fun doing it. You're listening to the Pocatello Business Podcast with your friend, host, all-around great guy, and owner of New Clean Commercial Cleaning, Spencer Ward.
All right. Welcome to the Pocatello Business Podcast. We are here with Janna Herron, excuse me,
Yes.
from the Woodland Orchards, second generation orchardeers. How do you say that?
Just yep, just like that. You're good.
There you go. Orchard keepers. That's the thing. So, Janna. Well, first of all, I did read a story. You know, your post on Facebook yesterday. I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago about what brought you into the business. What brought you into doing what you're doing now. Let's get to that in a minute. But so you're a second generation orchard keeper. You were taking over from your parents, and you started out by selling ciders and juices. And what else?
Just we do pressed apple cider, and we had done cookie dough with cookies and all sorts of other little goodies and stuff like that.
Okay.
And we just we're just looking at something. We had fun. It was something that we did just kind of on the side.
Sure.
We ended up having my accident occurred. I don't know about talking about that yet or not, but my accident occurred, and that kind of changed the landscape of how we did things. I had a good friend of mine. She suggested about doing our caramel apples as well and selling them, not just, on the side, but actually as main thing. And that's kind of how that came to be.
Cool. That's good. That's good to, everyone, there's always kind of a tipping point or a aha moment that you're like, all right, obviously I've got A, B, and C. Why am I not doing, D and the rest of the things? So, we can get in as little or as much as you want to talk about accident wise, but you had that aha moment that, hey, we got to do something a little bit different here. So what kind of, let's go back just a little bit first, and let's talk about your family. Tell us a little bit about your family, some of your hobbies, and what got you to this point.
Okay, so I have 4 kids. Me and my husband, we've been married, it's been about 17 years in August. We've been married. I have to think about that for a second. So 17 years. We have 4 kids. We've got an almost 14-year-old, an almost 11-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 2.5-year-old. And we love them to death, and they're like our whole world. We love just being outdoors. We love camping. We love working in the yard. We have a large yard and lots to keep care of. And so it is great having the kids with us, helping us doing those things. They're a great help. I've got good kids. I like to brag about my kids because I think they're awesome, but they're good kids. It's nothing that I or my husband have done. They're just good. We try not to mess them up. Let's just say that.
There you go.
Yeah, we have so much fun with them in the summertime. I like telling them, we work hard, then we can play hard. After the work's done, then that's when we get to play. That's our goal. So we work hard, and we also play hard. So
perfect.
We've got a dog and a cat. We kind of inherited the dog. It's a little dachshund. His name is Digger. It's technically my dad's dog, but when he passed, we kind of inherited him. and we don't do indoor pets. And so my husband actually had built this huge dog house, cat house, condo. It's insulated. It's got a heat lamp in it. It's carpeted. It's like, we call it the kitty condo. And so the pets, they love it. They've got all the room in the world. They can run around and enjoy. And so my kids love that, having their little dog and cat they can look after and play with in the yard. So yeah.
So, and then how long has this orchard been in the family?
So my parents planted it back in about 1978. So a couple years before I was even born.
Okay.
And then it just over the years had been added to and added to and added to, and we keep adding to it. Crazy us, like last summer I planted another 20 apple trees, and just kind of, we just add to it. And it's a lot of work. Anybody that has fruit trees know what goes into them with the pruning every year and the maintenance and just everything that goes with it. But like I said, it's great for my kids to learn those things. I grew up doing it. I know exactly, okay, it's this time, this is what we got to do. This is like a push for a few weeks. This is all we're doing. This is our life, Yeah. And then you just let it grow. You let it do its thing. And it's beautiful when all the trees are in bloom and the grass is green. And it's just, I love it. It's like my happy place being in the orchard. It's great. You let it do its thing, and at the end you get the fruit, and it's worth all that hard work that you did for those initial push of hard trimming and pruning and spraying and all that stuff that you do.
Sure. So how many acres are we talking about here? Is it like, how many trees have you had to guesstimate?
So we have 80 something here at our property.
Wow.
At our home that we have, and we actually were able to purchase that just about, it's been a little over a year now. My mom had passed away. In September it'll be nine years, and my dad just passed away, and he just it's been 2 years, a little over 2 years now that he passed. And we were kind of in the talks with my dad before he passed about purchasing this place that we're at now, my family home that I grew up in. And so we had started kind of remodeling and doing some work on it before he passed, and we weren't expecting him to pass. And so it was kind of a sudden thing for us. And so at that point, then we were kind of trying to figure out what to do. I'm the youngest of 8 siblings. And so I love my family. They allowed us to figure things out so that we were able to purchase the house from the estate and get that figured out as well. So it has been a long process, and many, many miracles later, we were able to purchase the house and be here and continue on with Woodland Orchards, because we had started that up and we were kind of going, well, without the orchard, it's kind of hard to have a woodland orchard, but we were able to do that and make that happen, and it worked out great. And we're here, and we feel like this is where we're supposed to be, and we've been slowly remodeling and doing some stuff that makes it our place. So kind of fun watching my kids climb the same trees and the same boulders and rocks, and play in the yard that I grew up in, and so it's kind of a tender moment watching my kids do the same things I grew up doing.
That's wonderful. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Well, let's get a little bit into the apple side here before we get into the business side, because I know, me personally, I know I have about 5 different fruit trees, and my wife and I are not arborists, and I'm sure a lot of people out there are thinking, I've got a fruit tree in my property. What's the best way to get the best fruit from your tree? How do you prune it? Just maybe a few, like, what's your 3 best tips?
Oh, let's see here. Well, the thing is, a lot of people that don't know pruning, like if they saw what we did to our trees, they think that we were just killing the trees. And my husband, he didn't grow up doing this, and so he's always amazed every year that when we prune everything back and we prune all the wood off of the top, that it's not going to produce all the fruiting. It looks like we're just killing them. He's just amazed every spring when leaves start coming in and the buds are blooming and everything. He's just like, every year I think I'm just killing this tree when we're pruning it.
Wow.
So I mean, if you have a tree that is producing fruit, it gets to a point where it's just, if it's not semi-dwarf or dwarf, it just gets so huge and just uncontrollable, and you can't reach the fruit, and it makes it very difficult. And so a lot of the way you prune the tree is you want to be able to have a canopy so that more sun can get to it. The more sun that gets to it, the better. And you want to be able to reach the fruit. So you want it to not be 20 foot tall. You have to prune it down a lot. And so a lot of, if you've never pruned your tree before, it's going to take a little bit to to get that tree back to where it needs to be. It might take a couple of years of pruning, but it takes a bit. With us, though, we do it every year, and so it's not as terrible. We just have to go through and redo a lot of the wood that comes in. And it's crazy how some of that water wood comes in and it grows like 5 feet, and you're like, where did this branch come from that wasn't here last year? And it's crazy. So it just is, it's all about doing it consistently every year. If you do it consistently every year, it makes it so much easier.
Okay.
A lot easier.
One more question about arboring or being an arborist. If you, for the people out there, and I'm talking about people meaning me, if we have a tree that has a dead branch and everything else is going off to one side, is grafting branches a thing? Does that actually work? Grafting a live branch like
yes.
into a tree?
Yeah, people graft branches all the time, and that's something that I personally don't do because it's just, that is not my forte.
Sure.
But yeah, a lot of people do the grafting and stuff.
Okay.
Me, I tend to go, cut the dead branch off, let everything else happen. So that is my thing.
Good to know. Well, you are the first first food vendor at all on the show, and especially first mobile food vendor on the show. Yeah. So that'll be interesting to kind of get that take here in the last few minutes of our show. But what are some of the common myths about having a food trailer, having some of the having that set up?
So I started out not mobile in a way. Okay. I started doing it just doing craft fairs.
Okay.
I had a good friend of mine. She runs the Goodbye Hello craft fair, and she helped me get set up. And so we'll try it. We had all our stuff, our apples and everything that we set up there, and it was amazing. I got to talk to a lot of people, and I love being able to talk to people and get to know people. It's fun for me to rub shoulders with people and get to know strangers, perfect strangers that I would never have a chance to talk to normally. And so we had it down to a system where my 14-year-old, she would help me, or my 11-year-old, she'd come and help me, and we would just sell from the craft fairs. Well, it got to a point where we were doing so well and we were selling out so much every time that we were like, we need to kind of get going a little bit more and figure out how to do this. And I felt like there was a need to take a next step, and I just didn't know what that next step was. I just felt this urge to do something different. And my brother, he does some kind of cool stuff with styrofoam. He can make and sculpt about anything. And he had made about 10 or so years ago a lot of these little kiosk shack things, shaved ice shacks, and a bunch of stuff that he traveled and built these things for people. And he had built one for a family member on his wife's side that was a shaved ice shack, and it was called the Little Piggy Shaved Ice. And anyway, they ended up moving a couple years ago, and they weren't running it anymore. And so we just had looked at that and went, oh, I wonder if we could do this. And so we were able to get that purchased. And amazingly enough, it felt right. So we were like, yeah, let's do it. And then they ended up having another buyer come from somewhere else, back east or something. And that was going to fall through. And I was so depressed and sad because I was like, oh, we were going to do this. Well, I guess he didn't show up. So we were able to end up actually doing the purchase deal.
So we were talking about your buying a food trailer from your brother,
Mm-hmm.
and you were able to get a hold of it and get things rolling for yourself. What are some of the main things that you have to look out for when you're getting into that mobile food business?
So I called the health department just to make sure everything was kosher and what we needed to do, and we're such a low risk thing that they signed off on stuff and we were good to go. And so we are, how it's built, the trailer itself, the frame, it just has like little metal brackets that you can slip into it, and you put them in there and you put a pin in, and then you have, it's on airbags to lift it up. And so you just attach a little pancake compressor and you push the little nozzle and it airs it up and it picks up the shack. And then you can just attach it to your vehicle and tow it wherever you want to go. And so we figured, well, in this way we can have a permanent location where we're at in the Pond 1 parking lot there on Yellowstone. Mm-hmm. It's our permanent location. But when we want to do, say somebody wants to rent or have us come and do an event, or we do, say, another craft fair, outdoor fair, or something like that, we can easily just pick it up and go, and it's mobile, and it makes it really easy. I know there's a lot of people that have like some snow shacks or some other units like that once they're there, and it's really hard to move them. So it made it kind of good for us because we can have a permanent location, but we also have the ability to move it and go to other venues and stuff like that if we would like.
Go where the action is.
Oh, yeah. Yes, exactly. Cool. And it's been great because with how things go, it takes a while to make the caramel apples. It's not we've gotten really good. We make thousands and thousands and thousands of them each month. It's crazy. Sure. But we've gotten really good at that, but it still it's a time, you have to take the time and do it. And we like to make everything fresh at least 1 or 2 days prior. And so we just bust them out. And so that's why we are only open right now Saturdays at a certain time, because it takes a couple days to make everything. Sure. And I have a life as well besides that, because, 4 kids. And so I have to manage my time and my family and everything. We are looking at maybe doing a second day opening, but right now it's just Saturdays. You can come any Saturday, and that's where we're at. That's where we can be. And I think that's one thing I've learned with opening and owning our own business is that there are a lot of little costs that are involved. And if you look at our garbage, for instance. We produce a lot more garbage now because of that. And you don't think of that as a cost for a business of you're going to be producing more garbage, so you need to have another garbage can, and that has to be part of your cost. Those little things that you don't think of until you get into it and you go, that is why I have to have a price point that I need to sell these at,
That's
so
right.
It's kind of a learning experience as we go along.
Oh, yeah.
We're learning.
Well, you probably heard me say it over and over again, but just you go back to it, but know your numbers. People just got to know your numbers, know exactly what's going into running your business.
Oh, yeah.
And because profits are good. That's how you continue to serve people and produce great product. And I'm going to show this right now because I did my homework and I came in last Saturday. And this is surprising that it actually made it this far, but I've had to literally fight my kids off to keep it for this. But the first one I got one sliver of, and it was fantastic. So So we've really enjoyed it, and we'll be coming back as well. So, well, let me, as we conclude here, let people know. Well, first of all, I got to ask my question I love to ask on everyone. What's your, besides your own location, what's your favorite local restaurant to visit?
Oh, we don't get out much. It's sad but true. Like, I love the Thai Zap. That is phenomenal. I love Thai Zap. And it's kind of silly, but I love the sticky finger salad at Wingers. That is like my go-to. Sticky finger salad, yum.
That is a good one. That is a good one. Well, cool. Well, I appreciate you coming on the show with us today. We've had a little bit of a technical issue here and there, but it's we've been able to manage through it. When people want to find you, I know you mentioned it before, but how do they get a hold of you? And especially if they want to maybe hire you guys out for an event, how do they do all that?
So they can either, the best way to get hold of us is right now, Facebook. We have a business page, Woodland Orchards, on Facebook. And if you message us straight from there, that is the best way to get hold of me. Either that or my phone number. It's on that page as well, 208-681-9201. And they can call or text me. We do specialty orders for anything, like events. A lot of people for weddings and stuff, they buy the apples and they just have people in the kitchen slicing the apples, putting toothpick in, putting it out. And it works great. Baby showers, we've done gender reveals and all the stuff like that. Bridal showers. So we do a lot of the large events, and we do bulk order discounts for anything 12 or more on the order. So that works out great for us. So that's what we do Monday through Friday, is we do specialty orders like that. Anything else, if somebody wants like 1 or 2 or 4 apples, then they come to the cottage on Saturday morning starting at 11. And we stock it with over 400 apples. And we usually sell out right around between 4 and 5. That first open house that we had, we sold out, I think, in about 2.5 hours. So I always tell people, if there's a certain flavor you want, you come earlier, because it'll probably be gone by 5 or 6 o'clock. If you want that flavor, come earlier.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
Well, everyone, Woodland Orchards, go see them in front of Pond 1. Give them your money for some great apples. So, again, appreciate you having time to come on the show, and we'll chat with you a little later. Thanks, everyone else.
Yeah, thanks.
Congratulations on spending a couple minutes getting just a little bit smarter, having some fun, and supporting the Pocatello business community. If you are feeling the love, make sure to subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you are.